Hey Climber, there's a certain type of song that you probably write a lot of that has about like zero chance of becoming a hit. So I'm gonna give you a little tough love today on The Climb. Johnny, do your thing.
Welcome to The Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. This is the new music business, not the old music business. This is not where the big million-dollar company's going to come in and take your nothing and turn it into absolute gold with all the money and the power and the pipeline and everything like that. They're trying to figure it out just like you are. And you're going to need to come in with a track record. You're going to need to know how to write songs. You're going to need to know how to book tickets. You're going to need to know how to tour. You're going to need to know how to make records. All that's got to be happening before you're going to get to work with the people that you want to work with. That's why we call this The Climb. C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business, which is brilliant. It's a Baxter name. That was created by my good friend, Mr. Brent Baxter, just in case you think I'm being cocky. Usually you're right. This time you'd be wrong. Brent is an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. Had a couple number ones last year. I predict in my crystal ball a couple number ones this year. You can find Brent. What I love about Brent, first of all, before you find him, you need to know what he does. He helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then he connects you with the pros so that you can create the relationships and climb that ladder. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. Listen, if you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That is production singular, no S, and there is no S because there ain't no other Johnny D.
Woo! Lots of people thanking the Lord for that.
Amen, brother.
How are you?
Man, I'm good. I'm just trying to wake up and do a little good stuff here to help the Climb community. Try to hip them
on. Mm-hmm. What are we going to learn about today?
Well, today we're going to talk about, this has been on my mind because, recently I've had several songs sent in for the Play for Publisher event, for the music industry pitch event, for coaching sessions. So the songs that come in there, and then I look at those, then I look at the songs on the charts. And there's a disconnect there a lot. So a lot of people are pitching songs that aren't even the type of song that become hits. Not even that they're pitching bad songs. It's just like they're bringing tofu to the barbecue, you know?
Right.
And let's talk about that today. Let's talk about your tofu.
All right. I love it. Well, before we get into
on
that,
your tofu.
I've already got a couple thoughts on that going through my head as we speak. I probably would have, but let's take care of a little business first. Thank you. We're so grateful to be a part of American Songwriter Magazine's podcast network. We were one of the flagship shows that came over there in June. Very excited to be here. If you've been a long time climber before we ever went to this platform, check out those other podcasts on there. It's all about songwriting, producing, the music business. It's all really good stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got Brent's holding up his new issue of Songwriter Magazine. It's got Common on the front there.
That's right. Great. So just got it. I was checking the mail right before we recorded, so I haven't even really cracked it open yet. So
I think the last cover had Taylor Momsen on it from I'm forgetting the name of her band right now.
Yeah, what is that rock band?
Pretty Reckless.
There we go. Yeah.
And I'm super sad because I had tickets to go see her last year and it got canceled because of COVID. And then it was delayed and then it was delayed again. And then it was delayed again. And now they're just like, we're giving you your money back. I'm like, no, I don't want my money back.
Yeah, it's like, we're pretty reckless, but we're not that reckless. Right, was that the thing?
Yeah.
Kind of the...
I don't know. But anyway,
yeah.
This is a great 36-year-old brand name. We're so thrilled to be a part of it. Check out the other podcasts that are on that network if you haven't yet. And if you found us through the American Songwriter Magazine, welcome to The Climb.
That's right.
All right. So we want you to join the C.L.I.M.B community. This is a Facebook group that is growing, thriving. It's very busy. We're posting all kinds of good information in there. Songwriters are connecting and creating even international co-writes that are getting syncs, that are generating money, that are building relationships, which I love. And different people talking about different marketing techniques and promo techniques, stuff they've done here and there and how it works, and having discussions about blockchain and NFTs. I mean, deep discussions in there with respectful discourse, which I'm super proud of.
Yep.
We want you to join to that. This is not your average community, people. This is happening. This is where the movers and the shakers and the beautiful people hang out. I can tell you that right now.
That's right.
All right, and we got winners.
And
right?
we have winners. Winner, chicken
not
dinner.
whiners. We got winners.
Exactly, here. Not whiners, but winners. So every Wednesday, it is Wins Day in the C.L.I.M.B community. So we post our New Heights post, and so we encourage all of our climbers who want to celebrate their wins in the comments. So it's in a certain spot so people know where to look for the good stuff and they can celebrate together. That's where the party is. And so I just wanted to share a couple of these that dropped recently. And so this one is from frequent climber Patrick Adams. He says, the three amigos have struck again. Our song Bright Island Lights has passed through NSAI's hands and is now being sent to Anthem Entertainment for consideration of a single song deal. Brad Hacker, Chris Tuscarino, and myself have been working hard and putting in the time and energy to get here and go beyond. For all the songwriters out there, find your tribe. That's what makes the difference. I've said it before and I'll repeat it time and again. The best value for songwriters is Songwriting Pro and the C.L.I.M.B community. Listen to the podcast, get involved, learn from the pros and your peers. You can do this. Take that next step. I'll be rooting for you all. Bam.
I love this guy.
Patrick,
I just want to go have a beer with Patrick Adams.
Love the energy. Love the vibe.
I love the energy.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you not just dig that, dude? Like his enthusiasm. Sometimes I think I need a book of Patrick Adams-isms and for the days when I'm not feeling it, man, so I can get a little boost.
Exactly. So, man, they say your vibe attracts your tribe. And of course, he's, getting several comments under there from Brad Hacker's co-writer, another from James Kelso and other people. So just, it's a little bit of where the party be. Right. So let's see. We got another one. Speaking of James Kelso, he says, I got a gig on May 15th and I'm looking forward to getting out there to play live. Finished a really solid co-write last week that I plan to release soon. After 24 years as a guitar player, I'm starting guitar lessons on Monday. We're moving the needle in a few areas a little every day. Bam. So congrats, James. That. Congrats, Patrick. So just, man, big or small, we love them all because they're all big when you're taking that, when it's a new height. It's always a big win.
Who is the guitar player's name again?
James Kelso.
James, let me tell you something, man. I love that because that's CE, man, continuing education. Randy Rhoads, when he was touring with Ozzy Osbourne, every town they go into would go and get a classical guitar lesson, and half the time would end up giving it rather than getting it. But he was still on the search, man, on the search for what? Greatness, improvement, right? Like you said, like James Kelso said, 1% every day. Just trying to improve all these different areas and. I commend that 1,000%.
Yeah, it's great. And actually, both those guys, or each of those guys, had a song land in the top 10 of the current Play for Publisher event. Actually, by the time this episode drops, it will be the previous one. But they each had a song in the top 10. James had a song called 180, and that Bright Island Lights that Patrick mentioned. Well, I like it too, and they submitted that, and so. Music publisher Matt Lindsay is going to be hearing both those songs and hopefully doing backflips. But yeah, so they're doing good work. They're out there, they're hustling and get to hang out with the publisher and, making friends and all that good stuff.
And you know what? Like just to make a connection here, like there's, over the years in this podcast, since we started the C.L.I.M.B community, which we've had for a number of years now, I can't remember how long we've had
it. 5 years or so.
There have been, there's just people that become regular, like usual suspects, that are on there, that are contributing, that are on the radar screen there, and that whose names that you see, and sometimes we end up mentioning them on the show. Well, that's the same way it works with the publishers, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like it's not just one time with a cool song. It's like this guy just keeps showing up with stuff that's kind of cool. Like I'm
Yeah.
and it's like get to 7. Like we talk about how to get to
Yeah.
7 with the spins, get to 7 with the meet and greets. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And the recognition where they, and I don't mean like giving you recognition, but where they're like, oh, okay, I saw that name, I heard that
Yeah.
song, like, and
Hmm.
then pretty soon, all of a sudden, it's just like, man, you just keep showing up,
Yeah.
and I like what you show up with.
Yeah. You show up
So
in a positive way. Yeah.
yeah, and I
It's,
like how you show up, and I like what you're doing, and I like what you're bringing to the table, and wait, okay, so it shows you're consistent. That you're doing this with or
mhm.
without the publisher, right?
Yep.
And that begins to that dynamic begins to change the dynamic of the relationship and create leverage,
Yes, and it's
right?
what you I think a name of one of your old episodes, Johnny, reach and frequency. It's getting
Yeah,
that reach. You got to be able to reach the pro that you want to connect with, and then as soon as you connect, unless it's an absolute love fest, which most of the time it's not, then I've
right,
heard it said that we're talking about mind share, how much share of someone's mind we're taking up. Like right now, John, you and I have, you have a huge amount of my mind share, right? Because I'm looking
right,
in the eyes and we're doing a thing right now in the moment. Well,
right.
then over time, though, it's like, as soon as the recording stops, whatever, we're each going up a down escalator in each other's minds. Like
Yeah,
we're gonna have other concerns. You'll be doing Daredevil stuff. I'll be doing songwriting pro stuff or working on a co-write and stuff. And just like the other person, you start like sliding down that escalator, riding down that escalator in that other person's mind. And so,
yep.
what do you want to? If you want to stay top of the escalator, top of mind, what can you do to keep going up that escalator? It's that frequency
That's
to so
that's
you
right.
don't just end up at the bottom and you're on a whole nother level.
And it's not a destination either. I mean, I know this
No,
isn't
it's
part of the show, but I'm just going down this road.
yeah,
Like Coca-Cola is not even arguably is the de facto best known, most popular brand name on the planet Earth. Coca-Cola. In every country, Coca-Cola is known. Everybody knows the brand. They still spend billions of dollars
hmm
getting in your face and reminding you that they're there. Why? To be top of mind, to keep going up that escalator, staying at the
hmm
top of that escalator, because they will disappear if they go down, no matter how good the brand is.
right,
You
yeah.
know, I mean, I stopped drinking soft drinks a long time ago because I gotta save my calories for whiskey. But the which I drink straight.
Saving myself for whiskey.
That's
Yes.
right. Yeah, there's a song,
There you
right?
go. Yeah.
But the but it's the same thing with the
Mhm.
relationships, man. Like gosh, it's so important that you don't, if you pin it all like on one song or
Yeah.
one amount of time, you're already losing, because that's not how the game is won.
Right.
It's a marathon, and it ain't a sprint. And
It
it ain't
is
about
not.
winning that sprint. And there's never going to be a moment where you have made it and you just kick your feet up and do it. Because if you just stop showing up every day after that first hit, then nobody's going to want to work with you. Like,
Yeah, you're on the down escalator all the time.
yep.
So anyway, that's a total sidebar, but
Yeah.
it's
Sorry, but that was
true and it's
important.
important. Yes.
Okay, so make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you leave a rating and review, and most importantly, Brent and I want you to know we are very, very grateful, and we do not take for granted the amount of time that you spend with us each week on these episodes, and we're so happy to be of service to you. But
Hmm.
we want you to help us be of service to other people. Tell a friend about it. If there's an episode that hits you, that you had an aha moment, an epiphany, where maybe we untied one of those knots from the old music industry where you were kind of focused on it this way, and something we said made sense,
Hmm.
and you were like, oh yeah, you know what? Okay, now I'm getting it. Okay, now I got. Then tell a friend about that episode. Like spread that around, because we want to help them too, right?
Amen to that.
All right. So tell me about Whiners versus Winners,
All right, Whiners
and
versus
I'm going to
Winners.
tell you what I think of these
That's right.
people.
So I'm just actually pulling up the chart right there. So all genre. Nope, I want the country chart. All right. So here we go. So I've had these events recently. I've had the Play for Publisher. So people from the Songwriting Pro and C.L.I.M.B communities, they send in songs. I whittle it down. It's my opinion. I whittle it down to the 10 I think have the best chance of catching that publisher's attention for what they're looking for, help them get hits. And same thing with the music industry pitch, but that's more like specifically for an artist. So certain things keep bubbling up, and I just want to share some of those. and to see if we can help you on your climb. So the music industry pitch, the last one I had with Ray Hamilton, the guests were Noah Dewey and Kyle Coulahan. Noah is the producer. Kyle is the artist. So he's a new artist working on his first project. He's put out some independent stuff. This is like they're going and going to try and land the deal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're looking for songs, and he writes, but they're looking to beat what they have. And
Right.
and many times, and people were sending in good songs. So Ray and I went through a couple hundred songs or whatever were sent in, and we found 10 that we thought was like, pretty on brand for Kyle, for what we know about him, and we're aiming to make sure they're all quality songs. So they're all good songs. And we've done 2 of these with Kyle so far. And it's interesting how so many times, and these are good songs, but it's like, that's a little vulnerable for Kyle, a little vulnerable. Or there's a song, maybe someone's out on the, back staircase or whatever, and they're trying to get back in the good graces, or they're just kind of moping around or whatever. It's like, he's not the guy on the steps moping. It's a really good song. He's just not that guy, right?
Right.
So, then I looked at other artists, and that got me thinking too. And I thought this before, like back in the 90s, you could have these very sensitive guys. You had your Doug Stones, your Colin Ray that you've worked with, Johnny. You have these balladeers, Brian White, Vince Gill, like sensitive dudes who were killing the game. I mean, they're doing great, having hits, and they were more sensitive. These days, you don't have so much that kind of sensitivity, where like Brian White had this song, I'm Not Supposed to Love You Anymore. He's like, I couldn't sleep up on our bed, so I'm down here on the floor where I'm not supposed to love you anymore. Like that kind of like heart on your sleeve kind of stuff. And it's just much more rare these days for most country artists. And Kyle is one of those. And looking at the songs that were sent in, the songs that, kind of fit Kyle's brand, it's like, yeah, man, a lot of artists these days are a little tougher. They may be sing a little more sensitive when it's a love song, like a positive love song. They may be a little sweeter, but not so sweet and vulnerable in like lost love stuff. I was like, yeah, okay, that's interesting.
More important than a lot of artists. Talking about Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle himself.
Kyle is this way,
right? Like, is this way. So that's 100% what matters for that event. And some of the songs are like, hey, this is great. I think this could work for somebody else, but just not what we're doing. But looking at that, going, well, that's kind of. He's not that far off from a lot of people. He definitely has his own specific flavor that we're trying to dial into. But a lot of artists are kind of that way too. Like, okay, not real vulnerable, not real, that kind of thing. So you're looking at that and going, a lot of songs sent in are kind of that way. Like the lost love, brokenhearted kind of thing. It's like, well, if you're going to do that for an artist like Kyle or so many of these other artists, you can be brokenhearted, but you better be a little bit tougher about it. Not as vulnerable. It's
going to have to have an edge to it.
It's got to have a little edge to it. Like, a little more manly still. So that was one thing that's like, okay, that's, put a pin in that. That's interesting, to think about when I'm writing my songs. The play for publisher, a lot of sad ballads were sent in. And so I listen mainly on Amazon Music. That's my streaming platform of choice. So, I just pulled up the top songs from the country chart. Like, okay, how was like what I got for the play for publisher, for Matt Lindsay in this case. I'm weeding through trying to find the best songs, the most commercial songs, the ones I think can help Matt make you both money. And to present to him. And so I was looking at the top 40, and man, there are not many ballads. Not many ballads on here. And this is streaming. This is stuff that people wanting to listen to. It's not what radio's programming. It's like this is probably a little more genuine. Some of them may come from playlists and stuff, but a lot of it's like, this is what people want to hear. I mean, number 2 is, let's see, or where is it? Oh, number 7 is down from the other night when I was looking at it, is Old Town Road still at number 7. Still. Body Like a Back Road was still in the top 40.
Back. Oh, wow.
I'm like, wow, talking about hanging on there. Good for them. But they're hard in the top 40, the closest thing I found to a ballad like the other night when I was looking was Shallow by Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood, which, that's kind of the closest thing to a sad ballad. And that was from the movie, Star is Born. And so there's some positive love ballads like Jake Owen's Made for You, which just hit number 1, or Forever After All by Luke Combs. And so those are slower, more ballady songs, but they're positive love songs. Okay.
Right.
where are the slow, sad songs? Because they're all over my desk when people are sending it in for the music industry pitch, for the play for publisher, plenty of slow, sad songs. But I don't see them on the chart. There's a disconnect. And as a writer myself, oh, dude, I've definitely been guilty of this disconnect of going, wow, okay, I need to be careful what I'm writing, because that's not what's ending up on the radio. The radio and streaming and stuff, they're like mids and up tempos and positive. So another, looking a little deeper at that chart, and then again, this is just Amazon streaming. This is what they put as their top 40 for the country. There's a lot of positive feel good. So like Good Time by Nico Moon, The Good Ones by Gabby Barrett is at number 1 currently on this chart. One of Them Girls by Lee Brice, it's a love song, and it's not an I Got the Girl love song, but it's I'm pursuing the girl love song, but it feels good. It's tempo. It feels good. Long Live by Florida Georgia Line. So that's most of it, is like positive, feel good, mids or up tempos. It's right. Like that. And after that would be like your love, more ballad. That's pretty much the whole thing. Oh, even a lot of the kind of quote unquote sad songs feel good. Like One Too Many by Keith Urban and Pink. It's like, yeah, it's I've drank too much. Come take me home. It's kind of a little bit more of a negative thing if you're just maybe to read the lyric, but you turn it on your speakers and it feels great. It feels good, right? So it really, the dominant emotion is like
you don't
positive.
Start crying when the music happens.
No, you're just like you're dancing. So it kind of doesn't matter what they're saying. It feels so good, even if they're being sad. Like Hole in the Bottle by Kelsey Ballerini. This is a hole in this bottle of wine. Up, fun, drinking song, feels so positive. And you look at the lyric, there's like, oh, I'm not crying over him. Oh, she's going out drinking because she lost somebody. But you don't know that really until you dig into the lyric, because it just feels so good. Like, I'm just drinking. So it feels positive. Dierks Bentley, Gone. Yeah, since you've been gone, I've been gone, But it feels so good. And he's talking about, I haven't left the house. I've been sitting on the couch watching TV all day long. I've been gone, wonder how a good thing went wrong. But it feels so good that you're not sad listening to it. So even the sad songs make you feel good. Hurts so good.
Every Maverick song.
Yeah, make you feel good, even though it's a heartbreaker.
Super sad song, but to tempo with Raul's voice, and it's like magic.
Yeah, it's like butter. So that's a big takeaway. There's this disconnect, and so I call this episode Whiners versus Winners. None of these songs are whining, really. I mean, they're not whiny songs. They're not woe is me songs. Even the songs like I said, Dierks, Gone, or Keith Urban, One Too Many. The dominant emotion that you get from listening to it is a positive one. It's a feel good, and it's like, and that's dominant among the more negative lyric. Is that okay? It's a negative lyric, but it's gonna make you feel so good, They just don't. Apparently it's really, really hard to get a slow, sad song cut. And listen, I know I've done it. Okay. Yep. Yeah. But it's really, really hard.
First one out of the box.
One out of the box. Funny. Haven't had one of those since. They've all been positive or mid or up tempo or, feel good. Like it's, that sort of thing. It's like, yeah, I've done it. It did well, but it's going to have to be like a hit to do that. They're just not putting that stuff out. It's not what people are streaming. It's, there's more hope. There's just a feel good kind of thing to it.
And how about can we also inject in a little bit of the dynamic around the world right now too, because that matters, right?
Yeah.
Like the big. So we had just to kind of set this up, because I think you need to be aware of this if you're going to be a student of the game, right? Like, and kind of figure out if you're going to see, what's trending and where the trends are going to go. I mean, in the United States, we had the 1970s, which was like
not a great
shit
time.
show. Yeah, it was not a good decade, No. I mean, in the beginning of the 70s, we still had the war happening in Vietnam. And then we went and we had, through the late 70s, we had massive inflation. We had a huge, you
Stagflation.
know, yeah, stagflation. We had the massive OPEC oil prices and where, they said we ran out of gas, but really the government put a price
Hmm.
uh, cap on what consumers could buy gas for, which meant that none of the gas stations could afford to buy it at a higher price and sell it and lose money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we had people waiting in line for hours. All this
And the
horrific
Cold
stuff was
War.
happening. Yeah, and the Cold War,
And
and
hostages in
then
Iran.
and hostages in Iran. That's right.
It's like
And
Billy
then
Joel. Hold on, let me start. We didn't start the fire right here. Okay, yeah.
there you go. And so then we hit the 80s, man, and all of a sudden the economy started to change. People started making money, and you know what? We were sick and tired of being sick and tired,
Hmm.
right? And so for a whole decade, it was party,
Hmm.
and it was that's where the music went, man. You know what I mean? And so I think, going through what we're going through now, I just think people are probably looking for hope. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? Like they're going to respond more to
Hmm.
hope. They're going to respond more to positivity because they're getting all the negativity they can handle if they watch 1 second of television on any channel. It
Right.
doesn't matter. It's here's why your life sucks. Here's why you're a victim. Here's why you're all going to die. Here's why,
Yeah.
I literally, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So pay attention to that. Now, what do you want to foster in? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Do you want to be the reason they cut their wrists, or do you want to
The
be the
counter-programming.
reason that saves them? Yeah,
Yeah.
like I just think when all that stuff's happening, like people are going to gravitate towards something that's going to make them escape from what is going on.
Yeah, or give them
You know?
the hopeful angle of it, or yeah. So,
Yeah,
and that's something to pay attention to. And man, according to this, it's a bunch of feel good stuff. And there's some
yeah,
songs out in country right now, like "Undivided" by Tim McGraw and what's his name from Florida Georgia Line, Toby
hmm
Hubbard. And so, I mean so it's a political thing, but it is more of a hopeful, unifying, let's come together kind of thing. It's not
right,
an angry song. But there's also space for some of that stuff. Like Tom McDonald is huge,
yeah,
rapper, and he is definitely politically incorrect and takes on stuff head on from an interesting perspective that's not all one way or the other. So I think a lot of people left and right can get down with him.
hmm
He's just kind of unafraid to say this stuff, and there's like, oh wow, you said that. That's interesting. So there's room for some of that, but in general, major label charting stuff, especially like in country, that's what I'm looking at. But I'm sure it's the same way in pop and most major formats is the positivity and mid or up tempos or something that makes you feel good, even if the lyrics
right,
negative. It's like, dude. So I have some homework. I have a little bit of homework.
all right,
So let's see. Some of this came from some coaching clients. I had a coaching client the other day, and they brought in this title, and they'd been working on this song, and it's like, it's not as good as it could be. What do you think about this? And I think the title's interesting, but the angle, it was another one of those like, there's so many of these. There's so many of
yeah,
these. How is yours going to stand out? And it's kind of sad, and it's that can we take another look at this? And so we song title challenged it, and we found another angle which was more positive and put the singer into good light. The singer's a winner, not a loser. And it's like, it's just not that idea that you hear every day, but it's one that it definitely fits. This is a country song, fits the country format, but is fresh to go with the good title.
right.
And man, the client was way happier with it. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, I haven't heard that a ton. No, you will not.
Now we got something a little different.
Now we got
right?
something that maybe has a fighting chance to move you forward. It's not like, oh, they're like all those others.
Something that somebody else is going to want to sing, which is the game you're playing if you're trying to get cuts.
Right, exactly. Going,
Right?
okay,
It
what is
can't be about you. You can't look at it like it's about you. Well, they should just do what I want. Like, no,
Yeah, they could do
they got
something
their
with
own
it.
brand.
They don't have to do something.
They don't have to.
Right.
Yeah, they got their own brand. So if it's consonant with their brand,
Mhm.
they're going to be much more apt to use it. So do they want to be a steward of positive change in today's
Mhm.
environment, or do they want to be Debbie Downer. I
Right.
mean, it's up to like and know the artist and what they're trying to do.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, I mean, you're just again going off all that streaming stuff. I think of it like this, like, you know, your friends call you up and say, "Hey, man, we need help moving.
Mhm.
Do you got a car? You got some, you can help us move some stuff with it." Yeah, sure. And you show up with a powder blue Miata,
Right.
and all you got is trunk space for like the coffee maker. You're of absolutely no help at all.
Right,
You know what I
exactly,
mean?
yeah.
Like, this is not what we need,
Yeah.
right? We need space to move
We need
stuff.
a truck, a
And
van,
so thanks
a
for being here,
flatbed.
but yeah, come on.
Yeah.
This is not what we need. I need that. I got plenty of people helping me. I need some more things
Yeah,
to haul this stuff with so we can do it in less time, right? Less
exactly.
trips. I mean, know what you're supposed to show up with.
Yeah.
And it just seems to me that because didn't you say a couple years ago that like all the publishers you talk to are just like, man, 90% of the songs we get are ballads,
Yeah, yeah, they're like, "We
are
still get a
sad
ton of ballads," and
ballads.
these are, like, from people that are pros. Like, how? I think, at least people I run with, they're figuring that out. You know?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I
yeah,
try
yeah,
not to
yeah.
write very many ballads at all unless it's just what I think is like, "Okay, this is special."
This is so
Like,
good.
this
It's
is
like
not the
work
run of the
it.
mill, like, and this is good for my soul.
But if
And
you go for mid tempo or up tempo right off the bat,
oh,
you're ahead of 90% of your
mhm,
competition,
yeah,
including in the pro world,
yeah,
right? You're in a different group already. That's just math,
yeah. That's what
right?
you're
And
just bringing
then
what they're wanting, right? That's what
and
they
then
want.
why not take some of those slow songs that you wrote and put a
Oh,
tempo to them? Like
you're getting ahead of my
why not
homework,
just
Johnny.
put
Getting ahead of
Oh,
my
sorry,
homework.
sorry, sorry. Okay,
But
sorry.
yeah, yes, true. So first thing is song title challenge your own negative titles and see if you can turn that negative title into a positive song. Just stretch yourself. It's an exercise. It'll make you stronger. It'll make you a better
What's the
writer.
worst that could happen? Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like
you
you just
flex
end
that
up,
muscle.
you still have your other version of it or the way you're planning on going. So there's that. I mean, like this one was, they wrote as a negative title, a negative song. It's like, well, is there a way to make this positive? And it gets you thinking in a different way, going, oh, well, if you do that, oh, there we go, and we end up turning it a different way. And it's like, oh, this is cool. Okay, now we're off to the races. So do that with your
Yeah.
own stuff. See if I had an experience with that. Years ago, I was writing with Jason Cox, and we're writing a country song, and I had this title from years ago and this old lyric from back when I was living in Arkansas, and it wasn't that good, but I liked the title. It was like Minutes from a Memory. I like the alliteration, and the way I'd written it was like, man, right now we're fighting, and my pride just won't let me like shut up or say I'm sorry, and I know that she's just minutes from a memory, like she's about to leave, and that's the
Right.
way I took it. And I was bringing it to Jason. I didn't bring him that lyric because I knew it could be way better because this was years later. But they still like the title. Like, what do you think about this? He's like, oh man, it makes me think of like you're just minutes away from this great memory about to happen. I'm like, yeah, that's
Well.
completely what I meant. I like that way better. And so we ended up changing it to moments. That way, just it's closer even than minutes. But it became like, looking back on our love story, it's like, man, we're just moments from a memory, a heartbeat away from changing everything. On the
Yeah.
edge of what happens next. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So it ended up becoming this,
Yeah.
big positive tempo rocking thing about, wow, just can't believe I was you were heading to the front door. I was coming up the front steps of this house party. We didn't know it, but we were just moments from a memory, like meeting each other, and like became this super positive thing, and it had much better energy to it. It's like, oh, okay. I had another time I had this title and this idea for a song called "What Makes a Man." It was like, yeah, what makes a man like screw up and be self-destructive? Well, maybe learning from it, that's what makes a man. So it's like a deeper kind of thing and probably a little more ballady or whatever. And I pitched it, to a hit writer, and it's like, what makes a man is a woman like you. I was like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
so it ended up becoming like, what makes a man, head straight home instead of stopping at the bar to have a drink? What makes a man start thinking crazy things like, pass down, so I can fix that up into something she'd love. Like, what makes a man do that is a woman like you. So you're like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to learn here. Like that's way more commercial. You're singing to the girl.
Yeah.
It's like a mid-tempo thing and it's positive. He's still a man, but it's lifting the girl up. It's like, oh my gosh, what I thought were these kind of negative or dark or whatever, more balladish stuff, you can turn them. You can turn them. That's why we do the song title challenge. So that's
Yep.
one thing. I want to song title challenge you to turn your negative title into a positive one. Two is what Johnny just mentioned. Take a slow, sad songs and give them a different feel. See if you can make it a feel good sonically, even if you don't change the lyric. Even if
Yeah.
well, it's still going to be a sad thing. All right, but give us some heartache with a beat. See if you can
Yeah.
up the tempo, up the energy, even make it feel good. See what you can do, and just play with.
How fun is that though? I mean, think about this. Like there's rather than focusing on the like, oh, I've got to change this thing that I wrote and I
Mhm.
bled for this song and blah blah, but just the song's already done, man.
Yeah, you're playing with house
All
money.
you got to do is just kind of the Play-Doh is there and you just got to move it around a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't got to stress on the lyric. You don't got to stress maybe on the melody.
Mhm.
You just need to change it, right? And
Yeah.
and just play with it and have like nothing but free playtime,
You know what you do?
with like
You do a
it's already
cover
done.
of your own song. You
No,
know?
that just
Yeah.
happened.
So,
Yeah.
like you take a cover of like, this like, okay, here's an old Johnny Cash ballad, and I'm
Yeah.
going to turn it into this barn burner thing. All right, I'm going to make it
Yeah.
my own. I'm going to play in the sandbox. I'm going to rearrange this Johnny Cash thing where it's still that, but man, it's so different. I'll make it my own. Do that to your own
Yeah.
song. Do like cover versions of your own song going. So if that's what it helps to in your mind just to free you to go, oh, okay, this is just an alternate version. This is the multiverse version of this song, whatever.
Yeah.
Where, and just play with it that way and go, how can I really mess with this and have fun? And
I
would
just think, yeah, that's so there's just like a no pressure thing on that because it's done. It's been written.
yeah,
Now you just gotta be producer and big time and play with it
yeah.
and it's like you can't lose. All you can do
No, you
is
can't lose.
create something different. It's like so fun.
Yeah. The other thing is to do your homework. Like, don't just take my word for it. Like, whatever your genre of choice is, go look at current charts. See for
Yep.
yourself. Like, oh, how many of these are sad ballads? How many of these are whiny? And how
Mhm.
many of these are winning? And okay, and I feel pretty confident that you'll see a definite trend across different
Yeah.
platforms, across time. You're going to see a trend that mids and up tempos and positive and feel good wins more than
Yeah.
whining does. And once you see that, and then you're responsible, like, okay, well, dang it, now the blinders have been taken off. What do I do about this? Am I going to keep? It's what the song wants to be.
Yeah.
You're more in charge than you think. So I think that's important
That's
to,
right.
and once you know that, you're responsible for how you react. And do you want to be a professional that makes money and has a chance of getting cuts and can get some attention? Not saying that, again, I don't only write up tempos. I still write some ballads every now and again, but man, it's got to be like, wow. And this can't be a tempo because it would break it. Like, so there's just a much smaller minority of what I write these days. So I still do every
Yeah.
once in a while. So I'm not saying never do that, but most of the time it's like, what's going to make an artist, what's going to play well at a show? What does a fan go want to hear? They're going to a party and the artist is hosting the party.
Yeah.
You have people over at your house, right? You're hosting a party for something,
Yeah.
and it's more of a house party, not like a dinner party where everything's chill. No, this is like party. Like we're having people in.
It's not a funeral.
It's not a
Yeah,
funeral. It's not a wake. It's, we're having people over. It's a good time. It's Friday night.
Yeah.
What are you playing? What are
Yeah.
you playing on your playlist for your
Nothing but
party?
sad songs. All your sad songs.
All
Are
your
you gonna
yeah. Is it all your
gonna
5-minute
throw in,
weepers? No, they will not. People be like, oh, it's gonna be a dead party, right?
Are you gonna play? All you gotta do is put a drink in my hand.
Right. You're gonna play the fun party playlist. And if you look at a concert, is a party. They're hosting the party. It's just the playlist is like one artist, unless they do some covers. Oh, what's going to help us have a party?
Yeah.
That's if you can think about the end user, the listener, the audience member, and the artist. You think audience. Okay, what does the audience want? They want to have a good time. They want to have fun. They want to go to a show, forget about Monday through Friday. They want to have a good time. They want to have an experience. What does the artist want to do? They want to give those people the experience they want. They want to have them up on their feet, having a good time and going, because since you're already on your feet, you might as well walk to the merch table. So, they want to having a good time or buying beer, if they're playing the club scene or whatever, so that they get invited back because they're not in the music business. They're in the beer business, right? So you want people having a good time. So therefore, as a writer, what do I want to do? I want to help solve those people's problems. Because then, what do I want? Cuts. How do I get that? Solve their problems. If I solve their problems, they solve mine. And so,
I'm thinking,
do your homework.
I'm thinking, let me interrupt for a second. I'm thinking about like some of the greatest performances I've seen, right? Starting with the first concert I ever went to, was Neil Diamond in like 1976.
Love, Brother Love. Yeah.
I think. And he's got, it starts out with the up-tempo song, and he's got like mid-tempos and up-tempos. And then because he was such an amazing performer, he could take you down into the depths of despair during that show.
Yeah.
Right? For a couple real slow songs and real like moments. And then guess what? Brother Love's Travel and Salvation Show brings you back up.
Yeah.
And we're going out on a high note because he was in complete control. Now, not a lot of artists can do that.
Right.
That have that power to do that. But the ones who do, I mean, even that set, right? And the Allman Brothers would do that with like an unplugged thing in the middle of the set where they would just bring it down and sort of be more
for dynamics.
And then back up again. Yeah, there's a dynamic to this show, but the majority of those songs are what?
Up tempo, positive, probably feel good, rocking.
mid up tempo songs, and to provide the juxtaposition against the dynamic thing, right? And so it's that thing. So again,
even James Taylor. Math. I saw James Taylor in concert. It was awesome.
Okay,
I'm a big JT fan, and even that stuff. You think of all kind of ballady, very acoustic-y, Fire and Rain, You've Got a Friend. But even that, he had a whole band with him.
Yeah.
It wasn't for nothing. That had, Steamroller and had some, bigger, higher energy stuff. Even for like James Taylor, who I love his chill stuff. That's one thing I love about him. He's that kind of mood artist. But even that, he has some kind of rocking stuff and it's fun stuff. Even like How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You. It's mid up. It's fun. It's love. And it is to be loved by you. It's a cover, Yeah. But it's great. It still makes it his, but it.
Wait, James Taylor, one of the greatest songwriters of all time, stooped to do a cover?
Yes. Oh, You've Got a Friend, Carole King.
Yep.
So even that, right? I remember seeing Mark Wills in concert in like Riverfest in Little Rock. So this is like 2000, 2001. And, Mark Wills at the time, he was having hits with ballads. Most everything was ballad, which is good news, bad news. Good news is you're having hits. Bad news is they're all ballads. So when you play this festival, he covered the Eagles' Life in the Fast Lane because he didn't have his own hits at the time that were tempos. So he was like doing some covers. So he could have tempos that people knew that you could respond like it being a hit. So it was one. So you kind of get best of both worlds. Here's tempo and it's one you know and you love. I'm going to cover the Eagles. Because I can't just come out here and do like however long his set was, like all ballads. Like he knew that. So anyway, so do your homework. Look at, I've been wanting to find a good source for looking at live concert videos. Not just like a single song here that like, I want to watch a whole concert. They used to have like concert DVDs and stuff. Like I need to go find a good source for that. Cause I've been looking some on YouTube, but like of current like country artists and stuff or other artists, but going, okay, let's watch one of their shows and to see what their show was about. Oh, well, that's the stuff they're playing. Yeah. I want to write for that. But so do your homework.
Even if you got to buy that DVD or rent that streaming or whatever, wherever you can find that, like that's a good investment. One of those, like, from the artists and the genre that you want to be in, just to see how they're putting that together. And with instead of the intention of kind of just enjoying it as entertainment, right? Now it's like, okay, now I'm going to pick it apart, right? I just want to see which songs they played, where did the tempos go, when did they go, when did they change, did they go down, did they come back up, when did that happen? Does he have a song that he or she have a song that was the opener, the barn burner to get you revved up? Was there a song that was written to be the closer? That's at the end, that's the big good night, the walk off, the to really to get behind the science of that is that's time well spent. I guess.
I mean, I was writing with an artist, and like I was doing digging. Like, okay, I got this idea, and part of this, and this is your show opener. Yeah, and it's about how it's like the night is already good. We're already having a good time, and that whole thing about I'm ready for it and you're ready for it, and we're having a blast, even though the night is young, kind of thing. I'm not giving away the hook, but like, okay, this could go here in your show. Like if you're opening for somebody, or it's your first, show of somebody, after somebody opened for you, or it's the first song of your set, it still works. It's about how we're already having a party. Woo! Yeah. So it's a little meta, but it's not, but it's a party song, but it's like, oh, that would slot in well right there. Okay. And just thinking about that stuff, giving them those moments in their show.
I remember, just quick side note, because I remember going to the Scorpions Worldwide Live tour. Okay. Killer tour, and Bon Jovi on their first record opened up for the Scorpions. Yeah. Okay. And I remember, like, my little cousin was my one cousin and I were about a year apart. He was 1 year older than me, and his little brother was like maybe 4 years younger than us. And so he would just, at that time, we're 16, he's 14 or 13 or 12. So he's like way smaller. And so it's like we didn't have to listen to anything he had to say. Well, I like Bon Jovi. Will you guys give me like a Bon Jovi bandana? We're like, you get it to Bon Jovi bandana? Yeah, sure. We're going to see the Scorpions, dude. Come on, And we go to the show expecting to hate Bon Jovi now, because we hadn't heard of him yet. Yeah. But because my little cousin liked him, now we're going to hate him.
Right. Exactly. I mean? Yeah.
And their opening song, Get Ready. That's the name of the song. And I'm like, oh, what? And then Bon Jovi comes out, and it was just like, from the first song, my jaw's on the floor, my cousin's jaw's on the floor, and we got our damn selves Bon Jovi t-shirts. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he was great, but that show opener, I mean, that mattered. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like how they opened that. And that was specifically on the record and designed to be the live show opener. Here we go. Get ready, because we're here. Yeah. Like it was that. I just, when you were explaining that, I had that moment. Like I remembered that moment where I'm like, I totally was like, he got me right. And I was prepared to hate the son of a gun. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then he owned me after the first song, and I was like, I'm ready. Yeah. I love this.
Yeah. What can you write for an artist? Like what, if you're, if you want to write for Jason Aldean, go watch a Jason Aldean show and go, what can I write that would fit right in here?
Yeah. What does he need?
What's he need? What can I give him? So Michael Farron, he's a hip producer, artist, or songwriter mainly. I mean, he works a lot with Lauren Daigle, and so she's really popular, successful CCM artist, and so he's been around a minute. He's great, and so we had him on for a Know the Pro at Songwriting Pro. So you can watch this full interview in the member area if you're a member of Songwriting Pro. But talking about writing with artists, because he writes a lot with artists, and he's killing it with Lauren. And she's doing great. And he said one thing he does is he's like, so what do you talk about between like songs 4 and 5? Like, what are you telling the audience? What are you talking about in concerts these days when you're playing out? What are you talking to them about? He goes, because a lot of times they may be talking about it because they don't have a song about it. So they're talking about it. So let's see if we can write them that song.
Oh, I never thought of that.
And that's very much like, for like an artist, like a gospel artist, a Christian artist who is ministering while they're, they have let's talk about these things, maybe this is on my
Right.
mind, this is something I'm talking about. So that may be a subject matter they want to sing about. So let's help them sing it. What are you talking about between these songs? To get into the world, what's on their mind as they're doing these shows? Well, let's see if we can write you one that really hits that point that you want to make. I thought that was brilliant. And you can do that if you're writing with an artist. Brilliant. But even if you're not, you can watch a show and go, what kind of beats do they want to hit? And how can I give them an even better one?
Yeah. And how can I put that little chat in the form of a song? Because if they're already saying it, and then you got a song that'll fit in right after it, that just now when I talked about it, I wrote a song about it too. You want to hear? Here I go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's really brilliant. I never thought of that.
Oh, no, I didn't either. That's why he's getting a lot more cuts than me. So good job, Farron. And the last thing here is for your homework is you may have to bring in a co-writer, and don't be afraid to do that. Like if you really live in that ballad land kind of thing and you're just having a hard time breaking out of that, or the sad, negative, whatever, and that's maybe a case of two heads being better than one. Don't be afraid to bring somebody in, because they may just have what you need, and then maybe they're more the tempo person, and they can either teach you some grooves, you learn by osmosis, learn by doing it, or just like I've had my eyes opened up with co-writers going, oh, what if it means this? Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay. It just helps broaden your horizons, open your mind up. So don't be afraid to bring in a co-writer if you need to. There's no shame in that game, because you know what? 100% of a slow, sad song whining that nobody ever hears isn't worth a whole lot.
That's right.
However, 50% of like a hit, quite lucrative. Or even just moving your career forward and having something that people enjoy hearing you play out, that's worth a lot too.
What about bringing in somebody to play in the sandbox with you too, to go back over like a couple of your slow songs that you've already written to say, here's what I want to do. I just want to play in a sandbox, have a couple beers, or do whatever it is you do to get your head right. And then let's mess this up. Let's speed this up. Like, what can we do? And you've got another brain in there that's just kind of basically helping you produce.
Yeah, really. That's what I was thinking, is like, even if it's like, hey, I just want to find different vibes, kind of like a producer, even if it's not like a co-write, we're like, I bought you beer and pizza, like come over, hang out. Let's just strip the sucker down and see what else we can do with it. If they're like a producer,
put it back together again. Yeah, I think that would be like an interesting sort of request, right? Or like, hey, would you be interested in? I've got a couple. Here's the songs. Like I've got a couple songs. These are, I'm just straight up. They're slow. They're whiny ballads. I know that. What I'm interested in doing is maybe getting together and seeing if you would like to come in and let's just mess around with it and just no pressure. We don't got to write with one another. We just got to take something that's already made and make it into a different form. I think that'd be fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's see what we can do. Yeah. Why not?
Because that person doesn't have they aren't locked in. Sometimes it can be so hard to hear your own stuff in a different way, because that's how you've always heard it. It's hard to, kind of distance yourself from that. But this person's coming in with fresh eyes and fresh ears, and they're not emotionally attached to it. And so they're,
and you got to let it go where it goes.
Yeah, you have to just zip your lip and it's like, oh, okay.
No law that says you got to use it.
Don't judge.
There's no law that says you
exactly.
Just let it go.
Let them play for a while. Let them run, and then you don't have to use it. But live with it and give it a chance. So that's my homework for today. But yeah, basically, man, whiners, you don't want to be a whiner. You want to be the winner. And
there you go.
Give them one. All right. We're in the service business, y'all. We're in the service business. So
that's right. Well, what do you want to drop?
Yeah. So thanks for hanging in. This ended up being quite a bit longer than I thought it was going to be. So thanks for hanging in there. I have a gift for you. It's at songwritingpro.com/gift. It is my free ebook. It's called Think Like a Pro Songwriter. And just some of the lessons I've learned from my years in the music business. Some I've learned from success, some I've learned from failure, but hopefully all of them will help you on your climb as a songwriter and help you. Because if you want to write like a pro and do business like a pro, it starts with thinking like a pro. So that's what this book is, songwritingpro.com/gift, or you can just go to songwritingpro.com. It's right there on the front page. You'll see it up at the top toolbar. But yeah, just tell us where to send it. We send it out to you.
There you go, guys. All right, that brings us to the end of another Killer C.L.I.M.B episode. Join the C.L.I.M B community, subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating and review, and by all means, tell a friend about it if it's moving you one way or the other. Let them know this podcast exists because we want you to win, so keep on climbing.
We'll see you at the top.